High above the English countryside in midwinter, the native feathered wildlife searches for food. From robins to sparrows, our landscape is shaped by their character. Hidden deep within a Hampshire meadow in the south of England, you'll find an extraordinary group of people.
When you can get so up close to these incredible animals, and you can really see that, they aren't just a creature, but they all have their own personalities.
They are working to protect some of the rarest and most threatened birds on the planet. For many here, this isn't just a job, it's a way of life.
You need to have a drive to be able to come every morning to do your job, even when it's cold. I love to be in the open.
With unique access, this is an intimate portrayal of their relationship with these magnificent creatures.
I'm more aware of everything what's going on out in the wild. It's the best feeling knowing to come every day that you're going to help out the birds.
Globally recognised in the field of conservation and protection, the Hawk Conservancy Trust cares for over 150 birds from around the world. This is a rare place where the human spirit soars and passion is at the heart of everything that happens here. For the founder, Ashley Smith, it's a job he was born to do.
Without a doubt, my passion for wildlife came from my mother and father. My father would put his hand underneath your arm and say, look, and and show you something that most people don't see, and that's one of the problems we have today, is that so many people are detached from wildlife. And that's what, to me, is so important about the Hawk Conservancy. When we have young people come to the trust, we might be that spark. That child gets close to a vulture flies low over their heads, and then that gives them the passion, and hopefully then they'll have that for the rest of their life.
Across the other side of the park comes a truly astonishing story of one of Britain's most common owls and his not-so-common story. Meet Troy, a tawny owl who swoops straight into your heart.
Troy was a bird brought into our National Bird Prey Hospital that we've got here at the Trust. Troy came into us during the spring, and what happens is they naturally go through a process known as branching. Now with Troy, he did this branching process, but bless him, he did which quite a few of them do, and he fell out of the nest. Now, a lot of passers-by sometimes see a cute bundle of fluff on the ground, pick it up and think it's in danger, and so they bring it straight to us. Sadly with Troy, the couple that found him kept him for a couple of weeks first and hand-fed him, but he's become imprinted. It's another way of saying hand rear, and he now thinks that he is a little human in an owl suit. He no longer thinks he's a tawny owl. As you can see, he's far too friendly, he's far too tame. We could never release him back to the wild because simply he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Oh, strike! Brilliant, man. Really good.
When handler James and Troy met, heads turned and a special bond was born. For James, this bond is particularly special. Troy has a spring in his step today. It's cold outside, but he always looks forward to being out and about with James.
He looks to us as a parent figure. So when he's calling, he's saying, feed me, don't forget about me, I'm still here. Just like he would do as a chick in the nest to mum and dad. It's that kind of almost like a begging behaviour. And so kind of that connection shows that that's how he treats us, as that food provider, that parental figure. For him to look to us for safety, that security, that constant feeding. The way I look at Troy is if you would do any of your own pets or animals. If you've got a dog or a cat, you say it, they remember the family. And that's kind of a bit like what these guys are. They're kind of like my working family in a way, not just in regards to the guys and girls that I work with, but all the animals as well, because they have got such personalities and such characters that it is almost like an extended family, I guess you could say. Definitely has a special place, I can say that for sure.
Conservation is key to protecting birds worldwide. The Trust work in Africa and Asia, supporting projects aimed at vulture protection. Vultures are now the most endangered bird in the world.
I didn't know I'd be flying birds of prey. I work with birds of prey and they give me great fun to work with. The love is from you to the bird, from the bird to you, I don't think it is, but there is a lot of trust. That trust is very important.
Cedric came from France 10 years ago, leaving his job in a pet shop to pursue his passion for wildlife.
I love my job because I love training birds. I love Victoria, flying her, and also let people have the chance to have her on the face. I think that's amazing.
It takes a lot of time and true dedication to train these birds, but along the way there are a number of challenges to overcome.
They asked me if I wanted to train her, so I started basically. It took me a long time. Vicky, when I started to work with her, she had foot issues, she had problems in her feet, so she had to go to see the vet. And when you train a bird and he has to go to the vet, it's not easy. Anyway, it took me about 6 months to get a first flight from her. She flies okay, she's a display bird, but she's not as good as the male. She's not as easy to handle as the male fishy gull, so we try to find her a job. She's perfect for that kind of course we do in the winter. And for the guests, it's amazing. Having a bird like her is just great, yeah.
It's important for the survival of the Trust to recruit volunteers who have a drive to help protect these birds. For more than 50 years, their focus has been on conservation, rehabilitation and research. Working here is a dream come true for Ria, as her passion for wildlife started from a very young age.
I just love working with the birds here because you get to know them so well and get to know that they're individual characters as well. It's an amazing job to have, and there's so many different parts to it, but yeah, one part that I really enjoy is training the birds and sort of telling people about them. Also, my dad loved birds of prey, and I just remember seeing buzzards up in the sky and always had an interest in birds of prey. But then kind of coming here helped me to sort of grow and want to learn more about here, basically.
Another park resident is Dolores, a shy bird who's definitely not ready for her close-up. Unlike Troy, who likes the attention, Dolores isn't always so keen.
Sometimes she has different moods, sometimes she's really friendly, other times not so much.
But with breakfast on the horizon, will Dolores perk up a bit? Well, it's an improvement.
She's got quite a nice story behind her because she's actually got a nutrition deficiency and she's got an avian form of rickets, so her feet are curled round. When Ashley, who actually went to go and get her, was actually there to get another vulture but fell in love with Dolores, and actually she was in a really bad way.
I went to look at a pair of vultures that had come into the country. I'd never seen a cinereous vulture in the flesh before, and I really desperately wanted to see one. And when I went to look at them, one of the vultures wasn't very well, which was Dolores. You could see that she really needed specialist help. She was going downhill fast, and so I persuaded the chap that had the vultures to let me have her, and if I could get her right, then I could keep her here at the Hawk Conservancy. So I went straight to our veterinary surgeon, who was very young. He'd only just become our vet, who knocked on his door in a townhouse in Andover. This vulture in my arms saying she needs help and she needs help now. And he was in the middle of a dinner party, big, really smart dinner party, all the best cutlery out and everything. He said, I don't, she's too big. He said so I said, well, I need to bring her in. We need to sort her out. So they stopped the dinner party and cleared all the supper away and all the cutlery and everything and laid her out on the table. And he spent about an hour with her and put her on a drip and gave her injections and got her right. One of the people at the dinner party said it was the most exciting supper party they'd ever been to. You know, how many people can say they've sat down with a vulture and watched it being treated? So I'll always be very grateful to John Chitty, who's still our vet today. And every time I look at Dolores, I think of that day of bringing her home.
The sky's the limit for all birds. That is, except for one.
If you think about it, the only time he was ever up in a tree, he fell out of it, which hurt to start with, but then a big scary person came and picked him up. So this means that we learned over the years he's been here that Troy, well, we believe he is the only owl in the world that's scared of heights. Now, it sounds really daft, but he doesn't really want to go any higher than my head height. He happily follow around and fly around to perches, but trying to get him up into the tree was really, really difficult.
But as our team discover, Troy loves to show off to the camera.
Yeah.
What a
Typical, isn't
performer.
it? He's going in the tree today. Be typical, isn't it?
It's taken many months to get Troy confident on a low-level branch. But James is a patient teacher and will go to any lengths to get Troy airborne.
To try to get Troy over the fear, I mean, initially we just did the old technique of you basically raise your arm up high in the air and your owl automatically wants to go to the highest place. It's the safest place to be high. But Troy had none of it. Didn't want to do it and just flatly refused to go up in the tree. So we thought, we're mum and dad, you know, we're that family that he's got, that he sort of, bless him, didn't have that chance to really be with. And so in the wild, mum and dad would teach them how to hunt, how to do different aspects of their day-to-day life. So we felt that we had to take on that role and we had to teach him to fly into the tree. So how do you get your tawny out of a tree? But by sending mum and dad up in the tree.
With Troy on his best behaviour, James's battle for Troy's success continues.
There we go, that's better. It's not so bad up there, is it, matey? Once you can get him up, slowly increasing the height to a really decent height, slowly but surely, you know, it's baby steps, like with anything. And eventually he's seen that it's not any different to be that high up, and you can sort of get over that fear. And so that's how we've kind of started the training.
Conservation and breeding is vital to the survival of the African fish eagles. One of Cedric's roles is to encourage the birds in his care to find a mate. Othello was searching for a partner. Cedric was hoping Victoria would be a perfect match for him. However, things didn't quite go as planned.
Victoria arrived because we've got a male African fish eagle, it's called Othello. We fly him on display, and the plan was to find him a partner for breeding. At the beginning, what we did, we put these two birds close to each other, different aviaries, but at least they can see each other. They were calling to each other, they get on well together. So we put them together in the same aviary, but suddenly we noticed it, Victoria, every time she make a move, Othello was so scared he stayed on the ground. He was very scared, basically, poor bird. He spent all his time on the ground, so it didn't work. So we decided to train her.
Cedric has to accept that it may be a while before Victoria finds her perfect match. So until then, her future lies in display shows for the public.
I can make her fish from the pond, but at the moment it's frozen. So she fished from a water wall, which is quite amazing.
The accuracy of these birds is second to none.
She does everything I want to do with her. She fish, she can catch. She needs to learn to get more fitness. She gets tired very quickly. And hopefully, if I can keep her out during the good season, you get thermal. Get that bird going up in the sky. That's what I want. But we'll see. There's nothing I can show her. Now she needs, with good weather, catch thermal and just be a bird basically, and just fly. And yeah.
I've always loved wildlife, but I think I've really grown to appreciate it even more.
It's the best thing ever to just go out there and fly the birds for everyone.
You never know what you're going to get, so every day is almost a different job. I love it.
After a day of facing his fears, it's a leisurely bath time for Troy. With the sun setting on the conservancy, it's time for the birds to turn in for the night. It's been another busy day. Dolores is now a healthy and happy bird. Well, most of the time. Troy's well on his way to overcoming his fear of flight and joining his other friends. Othello and Victoria's relationship status remains complicated.
There's a moment in your life, I reckon, when you get it, when somebody says to you something that sparks that imagination for you to suddenly appreciate and love wildlife. And if you go back and you love animals and you love birds, you'll be able to remember that. It might be a grandparent or an uncle or an auntie that says, look at that, isn't that fantastic?